Radio.
Join us Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Woo-wee! That's some mighty fine internet radio.
Praise the Lord, everybody, and welcome to another CAC Daily iCast. CAC Daily iCast, just a little bit of church every day, home Bible study, 21st century style. Brought to you Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. CAC Daily iCast is a division of Cornerstone Apostolic Church and the Apostolic Voice of Phelps radio and television broadcast. The radio broadcasts are heard every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. on WQHY-FM 95.5 out of Prestonsburg, Kentucky. You can also go to Q95FM.net and click on the Listen Live link Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m. whether you live on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. That's Q95FM.net. You can also watch the Apostolic Voice of Phelps television broadcast Sundays at 10 a.m. on the Tri-State CW. That's WQCW-TV. And you can also watch us Sundays at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. on Mountaintop Media TV. And if you don't get those cable channels or satellite service, you can still watch us Sundays at 2 and 2:30 simply by going to mountaintopmedia.com. Question of the day. That'll be coming up in just a little bit. Also, you can catch us on the church Facebook at CAC Phelps KY, the Pikeville Apostolic Facebook page at Pikeville Apostolic, and my personal Facebook at Pastor RDM. And yes, we are on Twitter, CAC Daily, CAC Phelps, Pike Apostolic, and also Pastor RDM. And you can call in 859-432-3552, or you can call and leave your prayer requests and praise reports at 606-456-4400. And you can send us an email. We'd like to hear from you. CACdaily at cacphelps.org, CACdaily at cornerstoneapostolic.org. And we're always looking for new and innovative ways to let you know what's happening when we have a cancellation, rescheduling, technical difficulties. In fact, we had to use this app this morning. We sent out a text to everyone on the list, and of course, they knew that we were starting 30 minutes late. And so if you're not getting those texts, get your phone out right now and text at CAC Daily to the number 81010. Now, if you are getting those texts, you're fine, and you'll get text only when we have a cancellation, rescheduling, technical difficulty, something happens, we can't get on the air. But if you're not getting one and you didn't get one this morning, get your phone out right now and text at CAC Daily to the number 81010. It's simple, it's easy. No one ever gets your cell phone number, not even me, so join today and start getting text and updates from this broadcast. Join us Sunday mornings, 10:30 a.m., 11 a.m. at the CAC campus. Wednesdays at 7 p.m. And then the Pikeville campus. Join us Sundays at 2 p.m. and Wednesday online, 7 p.m. on the Facebook page of Pikeville Apostolic. Easter Sunday morning is coming up, April the 4th, 10:30 a.m. Pikeville Apostolic Church will be joining Cornerstone Apostolic Church at the Phelps campus this Easter. KYC, April the 16th and 17th, Lexington, Kentucky. And that's why we had to start 30 minutes late. We had to try to get some event tickets that are after the, it's called the Afterburner, which is after the service. They always like to take the kids to a certain place and let them spend, time together and get to meet new people. And, well, we had to get on at 10 a.m. sharp, and by 10:02 or 10:03, they was already sold out. So I got 4 tickets instead of 13 that I needed. So now we've got a dilemma, but we won't have a dilemma. Our kids are great, so we'll just put everybody's name in a hat, draw one out, and let them see who gets to go to the Afterburner. And if a kid doesn't want to go, that name get drawn out, they can pass it on to someone else. And That's what the reason we was late starting this morning. We had our afterburner tickets had to be at 10 a.m. They opened it up, and if I'd went ahead and done the broadcast, we wouldn't have got any tickets, and that's just how quickly things sell out. And that's why I tell all of our folks at CAC and also Pikeville Apostolic Church, when we start to go to an event, we have to register and get everything taken care of immediately, because I mean, they go quick. And so that's one of the things that we was doing this morning, and that's the reason we couldn't get started at 10. But we're glad that you've joined us today on this Friday edition of CAC Daily iCast, and we certainly appreciate you letting us come into your home, have a little bit of home Bible study, 21st century style, have a little bit of church every day, and from the East Coast to the West Coast and around the world, you just allow us to come into your home, and thank you for allowing us to do that. And certainly it is Friday, and that means the weekend, which means that I get maybe one day off, and then Sunday we have Sunday school at 10:30, and then 11 is our worship service, and then we have a baby dedication scheduled, and then we'll be going over to Pikeville and having church at Pikeville Apostolic Church. And I am telling you, I'm excited about what the Lord's going to do at Pikeville Apostolic Church. We're getting ready to renovate the sanctuary. We're getting ready to gravel some parking area, some more parking area. And so all of that is taking place. And in fact, we got to meet with some contractors, the gravel contractor, to this evening. And they are going to see what they can do about giving us a good deal. And so anyway, we're glad that everything at Pikeville Apostolic Church is, I mean, it's just being paid for. People are jumping on board. They're wanting to help out. And if you'd like to help out, there's several ways you can do it. Of course, on the Facebook page of Pikeville Apostolic Church, there is a link that you can actually click on and donate through that link. And there's also, you can go to Cornerstone Apostolic Church website, and there's a link at the bottom, and you can just click on that drop down box and pick out the Pikeville Apostolic Church and donate to the work there. So we had a report that one person gave $500 on some gravel, and another person had given a donation. And so they were, I think the gravel's pretty well going to be paid for by donations. And isn't that awesome that people will just take it upon themselves to help out, to make sure that the church has what it needs and can continue to preach and keep the lights on. That's what it takes. It takes money to keep the lights on. It certainly does. And so we had a little air conditioning breakdown, a brand new unit. And that just goes to show you, new units don't necessarily mean you're not going to have any breakdowns. But the good part, we don't have to pay anything because it's under warranty. Well, we're glad that you've joined us today. And as we said, we're starting 30 minutes late. So our teaching session will start at the top of the hour instead of the bottom of the hour. And we will go to 11:30 today instead of 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. So with all that said and done, let's see if we can't just get started with a little bit of something that we like to just look at and see what is going on with our COVID in Kentucky. If you follow along, you know that we announce how many people have died and the deaths in the previous day and all that. Well, these numbers are very high today, and the reason they said that the death toll is high is simply because they had to reevaluate some people who had died and make sure that they were, COVID related, because they wasn't originally listed as COVID related. They were just listed as a death. And then after they did their testing, I guess they did post-mortem tests and different things, they found out that they had died of COVID. So today's report of yesterday is going to be very high in people who have died. But the new cases in Kentucky, 785 new cases were diagnosed yesterday. And here are the people who have died. 448 people. Now, that doesn't mean all of them died yesterday. Again, they had to go back over their list. The governor gave a big, long explanation of why these updates had to revise the number. And so that number is very high. I don't know the actual number that died yesterday, but after them doing the review and adding in how many died yesterday, 448 more people. So that makes a total of 5,504 people who have died in the state of Kentucky since COVID-19 has broken out. 449 people in the hospital, 110 in ICU, and 57 on ventilators. The positivity rate is 3.23%. So there you have it. That's just a little bit of our COVID information here in Kentucky. Well, let's turn our focus on something else. Maybe we can just get a little bit of looking at the weather here. What about that? Yeah, the weather here in East Kentucky. Currently outside my window pane, it's 39 degrees. And the high today is only going to be 52 degrees. A little morning rain, but nothing going on outside my window pane right now. But look at that low tonight. 28. 28. I know. I booed that too. Boo, y'all. Yeah, 28 degrees tonight. And then tomorrow it's going to warm up a little bit better. It's going to be a high of 60. So we'll take that. And looking at our current radar condition, you can see that right here in East Kentucky where we are located at, well, there's nothing going on right now. Just a bunch of cloud cover, but no precip going on. So we'll take that. Well, let's see what we can do about getting a little something that we like to do. It's just called This Day in History. It's maybe, what happened, where it happened, what year it happened. It is March. It is March 19th. Well, on this day in history in 2003, did you know that the war in Iraq began? That's right, on this day in history. 1931, during the Great Depression, Nevada legalizes gambling. That's right, it legalizes gambling. 1931. On this day in history, 1916, the first U.S. air combat mission begins. In 1970, national emergency declared in Cambodia. It's during the Vietnam War. On this day in history. Well, 1966, if you're a sports fan, Texas Western defeats Kentucky in the NCAA Finals. That's on this day in history, 1966. Well, 1957, Elvis Presley puts down a down payment on Graceland. It's on this day in history. 1953, the first Academy Awards telecast on NBC. Well, in 1999, the bodies are found in Yosemite serial killer case. That's on this day in history, 1999. Well, let's go back to the Civil War. The Battle of Bentonville, North Carolina begins on this day in history, 1865. And our final this day in history. I know everybody's happy about it. 1949. East Germany approves new constitution. There you have it, this day in history.
Matthew 11. And it came to pass, when Jesus had made an end of commanding his 12 disciples, he departed thence to teach and to preach in their cities. Now when John had heard in the prison the works of Christ, he sent 2 of his disciples, and said unto him,
Art thou he that should come, or do we look for another?
Jesus answered, and said unto them,
Go, and show John again those things which ye do hear and see. The blind receive their sight, and the lame walk. The lepers are cleansed, and the deaf hear. The dead are raised up, and the poor have the gospel preached to them. And blessed is he whosoever shall not be offended in me.
And as they departed, Jesus began to say unto the multitudes concerning John,
What went ye out into the wilderness to see? A reed shaken with the wind? But what went ye out for to see? A man clothed in soft raiment? Behold, they that wear soft clothing are in kings' houses. But what went ye out for to see? A prophet? Yea, I say unto you, and more than a prophet. For this is he of whom it is written, Behold, I send my messenger before thy face, which shall prepare thy way before thee. Verily I say unto you, among them that are born of women there hath not risen a greater than John the Baptist. Notwithstanding he that is least in the kingdom of heaven is greater than he. And from the days of John the Baptist until now, the kingdom of heaven suffereth violence, and the violent take it by force. For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. And if ye will receive it, this is Elias, which was for to come. He that hath ears to hear, let him hear. But whereunto shall I liken this generation? It is like unto children sitting in the markets, and calling unto their fellows, and saying, We have piped unto you, and ye have not danced. We have mourned unto you, and ye have not lamented. For John came neither eating nor drinking, and they say he hath a devil. The Son of Man came eating and drinking, and they say, Behold, a man gluttonous, and a winebibber, a friend of publicans and sinners. But wisdom is justified of her children.
Then began he to upbraid the cities wherein most of his mighty works were done, because they repented not.
Woe unto thee, Chorazin! Woe unto thee, Bethsaida! For if the mighty works which were done in you had been done in Tyre and Sidon, they would have repented long ago in sackcloth and ashes. But I say unto you, it shall be more tolerable for Tyre and Sidon at the day of judgment than for you. And thou, Capernaum, which art exalted unto heaven, shalt be brought down to hell. For if the mighty works which have been done in thee have been done in Sodom, it would have remained until this day. But I say unto you, that it shall be more tolerable for the land of Sodom in the day of judgment than for thee.
At that time Jesus answered and said,
I thank thee, O Father, Lord of heaven and earth, because thou hast hid these things from the wise and prudent, and hast revealed them unto babes. Even so, Father, for so it seemed good in thy sight. All things are delivered unto me of my Father, and no man knoweth the Son but the Father, neither knoweth any man the Father save the Son, and he to whomsoever the Son will reveal him. Come unto me, all ye that labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you, and learn of me, for I am meek and lowly in heart, and ye shall find rest unto your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light.
What time is it? I'll tell you what time it is. It's time for another CAC Trivia Question of the Day. CAC Trivia Question of the Day is brought to you by Cornerstone Apostolic Church and the Apostolic Voice of Phelps radio and television broadcast. The radio broadcast is heard every Sunday morning at 9:30 a.m. on WQHY-FM 95.5 out of Prestonsburg, Kentucky. You can also go to Q95FM.net and click on the Listen Live link Sunday mornings at 9:30 a.m., whether you live on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. That's Q95FM.net. You can also watch the Apostolic Voice of Phelps television broadcast Sundays at 10 a.m. That's on the Tri-State CW. That's WQCW-TV. And you can also watch us Sundays at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. That's right. We're on twice, back to back, on Mountaintop Media TV. And if you don't get those cable channels or satellite service, you can still watch us Sundays at 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m. simply by going to mountaintopmedia.com. Well, let's see what today's trivia question is. What was the means of punishing a prophet who prophesied falsely? What was the means of punishing a prophet who prophesied falsely? Remember, don't answer in the chat room. Don't answer in the comment section. You actually have to go and click on a link, and it'll take you to Question Pro, where you can participate in the trivia question of the day. And that's found at CAC Daily, that you can go and click on the link, and it'll take you where you need to go. And we'll have the results of that on Monday's broadcast. Speaking of results, yesterday's trivia question: what two things did the people of Nineveh do to show that they were repenting? And out of those that participated, 60% of you got it correct. And the correct answer, they fasted and wore sackcloth. So 60% of you got it right. And that means 40% of you got it wrong. But nevertheless, you gave it a try. So give it a try today. Simply go to the Facebook page of CAC Daily, click on the link. It'll take you where you need to go. And we'll have the results of that on Monday. Well, we had a little bit of a delay this morning. I had to actually try to get some tickets lined up for our youth going to KYC this year. And so that's why we started 30 minutes late. And we will have our teaching session beginning at the top of the hour. Well, if you watch this broadcast, you know what that sound means. It's time for us to do a little fun stuff. Yeah, we like to have a laugh or two here on CAC Daily iCast. Things maybe you knew, maybe you didn't know, maybe you care to know, maybe you don't care to know. But anyway, here we go with CAC Random Facts of the Day. Did you know that Mercury and Venus are the only planets in our solar system with no moon? Oh. I know, it's sad, isn't it? The only thing that can scratch a diamond is a diamond. That's right. In the U.S., there is an official rock, paper, scissors league. That's right. There are more tigers owned by Americans than in the wild worldwide. Hawaiian pizza was actually created in Canada. There you go. Did you know that in Venus it snows metal? Aluminum. Snows metal. Wild, isn't it? Did you know the average dog, and this will be our last one, Well, there you have it, folks. Just a little bit of fun right here on CAC Daily iCast. It's brought to you by Snapple. There is a flavor for every person. I found my personal favorite. It is the half and half. Half lemonade, half iced tea, and of course I drink the diet form. So go to your local supermarket, get your own Snapple, twist off the lid, and you too can have your very own random fact of the day. And our trivia question is up and running. What was the means of punishing a prophet who prophesied falsely? There you go. Boy, they would be a lot of people suffer this today, wouldn't they? Yeah, people says, well, the Lord told me this, and then they say it, and it don't come to pass. Well, the Lord told me he changed his mind. Oh, you didn't have no chance for error. I was talking to a young man at church on Sunday, and I said, you know what, young man? He said, what? I said, me and you would not be alive today if we lived in biblical times. And he just looked at me kind of funny. I said, because the Bible says if you had an unruly son and you couldn't do nothing with them, you took them before the priests and then they would stone them. I said, so we wouldn't have made it. We wouldn't have made it because we was unruly. Yeah. Well, don't be unruly. That's just the moral of the story, kids. Don't be unruly because you never know when a rock's going to start flying. But that's the way they used to do it back in biblical days. Of course, they're trying to ban the Bible now. They're trying to ban the Bible from having any influence because they said it's racist. It's selective in who it accepts, and it's just they're talking Dr. Seuss can't be on certain bookshelves, and now the Bible can't be on certain bookshelves, and we're just living in strange times. Has anybody but me ever just sat around and say, boy, this is strange times we're living in? Well, Paul talked about that. He talked about people who was married and they'd act like they wasn't married. And just strange times. Strange times. We'll get into some teaching here coming up at the top of the hour. It's just about 2.5 minutes away, and we take a 30-second break, of course, right before our teaching session so we can clear up the lag. And we try to make sure that when you look at the Facebook recording, that it starts right at the beginning of the teaching session, so you don't have to go through the whole program with us. But if you want to go through the whole program, that's great. Well, we just had a 30-minute delay this morning, and if you're not on our list getting our text, get your phone out right now. There'd be no better time than to get your phone out. And what you do is, like, how when you text, not somebody through Facebook or anything like that, but you just send somebody a text message on your phone, and you type them a message and send it to their cell phone number. Well, that's what you're going to do with this. You're going to type in at CAC Daily, just like you see it on the screen, at CAC number 81010. And when you do that, you get put on a list, and you can take yourself off anytime you want to. It's entirely up to you. I have no control over that. You do. And I don't get your cell phone number, so I'm not going to be calling you, and I'm not going to can't get on the air here in East Kentucky, and you're sitting there in front of your laptop, PC, smartphone, or tablet, and you're saying, I don't understand why the broadcast isn't on. We're also on YouTube, by the way, and we're also on Roku. That's right. We're on a lot of things. Facebook, Roku, YouTube. We on for us to take our 30-second break, and we don't want you to go anywhere, and especially we don't want you to touch that any key, because you know what? We're going to come back in 30 seconds, and we're going to have some teaching. So everybody hang tight. We'll be back 30 seconds. Praise the Lord, everybody. I'm Richard D. McKinney, pastor of Cornerstone Apostolic Church, and welcome to another CAC Daily iCast. CAC Daily iCast is just a little bit of church every day, home Bible study, 21st century style, brought to you Monday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. CAC Daily iCast is a division of Cornerstone Apostolic Church and the Apostolic Voice of Phelps Radio out of Prestonsburg, Kentucky. You can also go to Q95fm.net and click on the .net. You can also watch the Apostolic Voice of Phelps television broadcasts Sundays at 10 a.m. on the Tri-State CW. That's WQCW TV. And you can also watch us Sundays at 2 and 2:30 simply by going to Mountaintop Media. Participate in the trivia question of the day. And today's trivia question: what was the means of punishing a prophet who prophesied falsely? All you got to do is go to the Facebook page of CAC Daily, click on the link. It'll take you where you need to go. You can also follow us on Facebook at the church at CAC Phelps KY, the Pikeville campus at Pikeville Apostolic, and my personal Facebook at Pastor RDM. You can follow us on Twitter at CAC Daily, CAC Phelps, and of course, Pike Apostolic, and my personal Twitter, Pastor RDM. And you can call in 859-432-3552, and you can also call and leave your prayer requests and praise reports at 606-456-4400. Send us an email. We'd love to hear from you at cacdaily@cacphelps.org or cacdaily@cornerstoneapostolic.org. And we're always looking for new and innovative ways to let you know what's happening when we have a cancellation, rescheduling, technical difficulties. You never know why we can't get on the air here in East Kentucky, and you're sitting there in front of your laptop, PC, smartphone, or tablet. Maybe you're sitting there waiting for Roku to bring it to you. Nothing happening. Just like this morning, we used this app this morning to let people know we would be 30 minutes later. So get your phone out right now and text, just like you see it on the screen, at CAC Daily to the number 81010. It's simple. It's easy. No one ever gets your cell phone number, not even me. So join today and start getting text and updates from this broadcast. Why don't you say, let's have a little bit of home Bible study. That's right, 21st century style, as we study part 599 coming up. Thank you for allowing us to come into your home on this 19th day of Friday, and this is the last, broadcast of this week. And of course, you can join us on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. and 11 a.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for our live broadcast from the sanctuary of CAC. And also, you can join us at 2 p.m. on Sundays from Pikeville Apostolic Sanctuary. So come on out and be with us, or 8 as we study today. And I want to begin in verse number 9, because we studied up and read the whole chapter starting out, and then we kind of broke it down into segments. And so we want to start at verse number 9. It says, "But take heed lest by any means this liberty of yours become a stumbling block to them that are weak. For if any man see thee which hast knowledge sit at meat in the idol's temple, shall not the conscience of him which is weak be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols? And through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish, for whom Christ died. But when ye sin so against the brethren, and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Christ. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth, lest I make my brother to offend." And we want to go to the Lord in prayer today as we study part 599. And I think this is going to be a good study for all of us. So let's go to the Lord in prayer. Lord, we come before your presence, and we thank you for this opportunity to use this platform to teach your word. I pray we want you to come into our lives and into this study and help us to receive your word. For it's like I told the folks Sunday about Wednesday night services. Wednesday night services, we're not just snorkeling around the surface of the word. We're putting on the scuba gear and we're deep diving. And that's exactly what Paul is doing. He's diving deep into subjects that are important. Maybe it deals with moral issues. Maybe it deals with just how to treat your brother. And this is kind of the understanding here is your actions may not harm you. Your actions may not harm you, but it may harm someone else. And since it may harm someone else, we should have such a love for each other that we are willing to sacrifice what we want to do to help someone else, so that there's not a stumbling block. Now, when we look in verse number 9, we see the word liberty. You know, we got the liberty to do a lot of things. When the Lord sets us free, we've got liberty, to eat whatever we want to eat. We can do certain things that as long as it don't bring a reproach upon, the Lord or the church or immoral or sinful, we got a lot of liberty, right? But Paul is beginning to say, don't let this liberty that you now have become a stumbling block to them that are weak. Now, he's talking about food. We all like to talk about food, right? He's talking about food. And he says, now, if somebody sits down and starts eating food and it's been offered to an idol, we know that an idol is nothing. So it's not going to mean nothing. If you eat that food, it's not going to mean a thing. If you don't eat that food, it's not going to mean a thing. It's just food. It's just food, because idols are nothing. Has no power over you. Cannot curse you or bless you or anything like that. Idols are nothing. And so, he says you might be able to sit down and eat that food. But here's what happens. If you're not careful, what you're doing may be a stumbling block to someone else. And then he goes on to say this, for if any man see you, that's just like, there was people back in the day used to go into places where they sold wine, and they would get their communion wine from there. And, if somebody saw you coming out of the liquor store, what would they think about you? What would they think about you? And that's just like if they see you coming out of certain venues. Some people says, well, I go to the bars to witness. Well, what's people that maybe are weak, what are they going to see when you come out of that bar? And they see you, they say, oh, I saw brother so-and-so coming out of the bar. I saw sister so-and-so coming out of the bar. You see, you may be totally innocent. That's why I tell our youth and start talking to them about dances and all these other party scenes that all the youth goes to. If somebody posts on Facebook a party of drinking and all that, and you're right there holding a cup, but you may have 7-Up in it. You may have orange juice. You may have water in it. But you see, the people that see you on the party scene don't know that. And that's why we have to be careful as the saints of God, what we do, where we go, what we participate in. Because somebody that may not understand and are weak, just starting to serve the Lord, or maybe have struggled serving the Lord, they're going to see that and they're going to be tripped up by it. And that's what Paul says about the stumbling block. We don't want to be a stumbling block to anyone. So he says, if anybody sees you sitting at the meat in the idol's temple, notice he didn't say don't eat meat in the idol's temple, because it's a sin. Some things are not a sin, but it can be a stumbling block. And that can be from, dress codes, that can be from appearance, that could be from a lot of things, that it may not be sin, but it can still be a stumbling block to someone else. And that's why we have to prefer our brothers and sisters before ourselves. We have to have so much love that we're willing to say, if something's happening, this is causing a problem, I'll just quit it. But the church world says, Pastor, you want me to quit doing this or quit going here? No, I'm not doing it. I'm out of here. I'm taking my toys and I'm going home. And you know what? They go to another church and they'll stay there for a little while until the pastor tells them to do something or asks them to do something, and they don't agree with it. And then they'll leave that church and they'll go to another church. Next thing you know, they're going from church to church to church because they don't have love They don't have love. They have pride. You see, love says, okay, I will give that up. You know why we sacrifice and giving up things when we start serving the Lord? It's not because the Lord's going to come down and strike us dead. It's because we love him. I remember having a talk with my daughter when she was just young, and she was asking, why do I have to wear dresses, and why do I, let my hair grow out long and don't cut it and all these things? And I said, because we love Jesus. You see, a lot of things is not out of commandment. It's out of love. You do a lot of things for the people you love. That's not something written in the marriage manual, especially, like, I'm going to open up the door for my wife or my fiance or my girlfriend when they get in the car. That's not written in the manual of saying, if you don't do that, now that's a sin. But you know what? You sacrifice. Why do you do it? Because of love. We do a lot of things for the Lord because we love him. We do a lot of things for each other because we love each other. The church is a place of love because God is love. And so he says, if somebody was to see you sitting in the temple, in the idol's temple, remember, he is just saying, okay, if you want to go eat at the meat of the idol's temple, that's fine. That's fine. But be careful, because somebody may be seeing you that's not as strong as you and don't understand your liberty and don't understand the idols or nothing. They might think you're in there worshiping an idol. Just like if somebody sees you coming out of a liquor store, they might think you're in there buying liquor. You know, this is something that happens quite often when you go to a restaurant now. Of course, most restaurants serve alcoholic beverages. They most of the time have a designated bar area. And I've been sometimes standing in line, me and my wife, and the waitress will come up and she says, 2 places have just opened up at the bar if you all would like to sit there and have your dinner. And we just look at them and say, no, we'll wait. Now, they would not be one thing wrong. So all of you that think that the statement I'm going to make is totally sinful, I want to tell you something. They would not be one thing wrong with me and my wife sitting at that vacant 2 seats, which just happens to be at the bar, and eat our dinner and drink our diet Pepsi, Coke, whatever they serve. Not one thing wrong. But here's the wrong. This is why me and my wife do not do this. If somebody walked in from the church, maybe somebody walked in from another church, maybe somebody from out of town that knew us walked in, and they looked over and they said, is that Brother and Sister McKinney sitting at the bar? They're sipping on a drink over there at the bar. Oh my, that's terrible. They're drinking. They don't know it's Diet Coke. They don't know that the waitress just looked at us and said 2 seats opened up and this is the only place we got to sit if you want to be served your dinner. But you know what? Me and my wife say no to that. Now, would it be wrong for us to sit there and eat dinner? No. But here's where the wrong comes in. If somebody, just like what Paul is saying, somebody sees you sitting in the idol's temple and they don't have the knowledge that you're not drinking and partying and all of this. And here's what he says. He says, if they see you sitting there at the idol's temple eating that meat, then the one that's weak won't look at it as, well, I'm just sitting here eating dinner. They'll start worshiping idols because they'll say, hey, I saw Brother so-and-so sitting at the idol's temple and eating, so he must worship idols also. Because you got to remember, idol worship was very prevalent. We don't see so much of it in, per se, building statues and different things and bowing down to those idols in our world today. Well, in the U.S. today, let's put it that way. But it still happens. Our idols have just become people, events, participating in something. That's become our idols today. But if someone was to see you sitting at an idol's temple eating meat offered to an idol. Now, we know an idol's nothing. That meat is just, like I said yesterday, it's just a hamburger. It's just a Big Mac. Go ahead and eat it. But if somebody sees you sitting there and they don't have the understanding, they're going to think that they can serve idols because you're sitting there. Somebody sees you sitting at a bar in a restaurant, they might say, hey, they're sitting at the bar, I can drink too. That's right. It's because of the weak conscience. Place, I had an opportunity to go to Las Vegas. The company that I work for, they have an annual conference. The UMWA had an annual conference out there, and so the first time it was offered for me to go, I said, no, I ain't got no reason to go to Vegas. There's nothing out there for me. And everybody started talking to me. Some people in the church, some older saints, you need to go on that. I mean, you don't have to go in and gamble, and you don't have to, sit at bars, and you don't have to play the slot machines and all that. But there's a lot of stuff. Hoover Dam is out there. You're near the Grand Canyon. There's just all sorts of stuff to see and do that has nothing to do with gambling. So the second time it came around, I went, spent a week out there. But you know what? It was interesting. You had to walk through one of the casinos to catch a cab, because the cab always came on the side of the street, and you either had to get out and walk all the way around the block, or you walked through, and the hotel elevators were located there too. So, somebody could have seen me walking through there. I remember telling one guy who was with me, and I said, man, this looks awful bad on a preacher walking through a casino. But you see, we was going to catch a cab to go out to Hoover Dam and to enjoy some sightseeing. But here's what Paul says, be careful, because if somebody sees you doing that, even though you're innocent in what you're doing, they may think, oh, I saw a picture of Brother McKinney at the casino. And, it must be okay to gamble then, because he was there. But you see, we have to be careful. We have to be careful. I didn't go to any of the, events that all the other people, when they started going out to all of these venues, of course, I stayed in the hotel room. I either rented a limo and just drove and just sightseeing. But Paul says if somebody, they'll be emboldened to eat those things which are offered to idols. They'll be thinking, okay, it's okay to do this. And then he says this, and through thy knowledge, because remember, idols nothing, that food is just food. But through what you're doing, through your knowledge, shall the weak brother perish. We don't want to cause people to backslide, do we? So maybe something you're doing may not be sin, but it may be something that's causing someone weak to just quit serving the Lord. Just walk away. Just say, well, they ain't no different than what I was doing when I was in sin. That's why we have to be careful. You have to be careful what you post on Facebook. You can't shout and praise the Lord on Sunday and then on Monday post some vulgarity on Facebook. You have to be careful, because what you do can cause others who are weak to perish. And that's what Paul's warning against. Remember, Christ died for them. Christ died for you. Christ died for them. The weak person, the person that hasn't understood everything like you have, haven't been in church all their life, hasn't been in church for 20 years. And that's why it's important that you grab on to what the lesson is saying today. There may be places you can go that's not sin. You may be walking through the grocery store and you're walking by where they sell alcohol. They have coolers. We have what we call food cities around here. And there's one whole aisle of nothing but beer and whatever else, alcoholic beverages. And you may have to go down that aisle to get where you're going. And somebody might see you and say, I saw so-and-so going down the liquor aisle. Paul's saying, be careful about that. Well, there ain't nothing wrong with going down that aisle. I know it and you know it. But what if somebody who's barely holding on to the Lord sees that and maybe they were an alcoholic? Maybe they had a problem with drinking and they saw you going down through there and they thought, well, it must be okay. I can go ahead and drink a little bit, just not get drunk. You got to be careful. That's what Paul's trying to relay to us. They may be things you do that is not sin. But if it causes a problem for someone else, you need to avoid it. Facebook posts, TikTok posts, Instagram. I can go on with Twitter and all the other social media outlets. Some people can't handle social media. That's right. Some people can't. Some people can't handle the radio. Some people can't handle a computer because they're always going places they shouldn't go and doing things they shouldn't do. And that's why we need to understand that if you can't handle it and you can't bring it into control, then you need to get rid of it. That's right. Oh, Pastor, no, I need this for work. I need my phone for work. I need my computer for work. That's fine. But if you're tempted to go to porn sites and you're tempted to get on Facebook and post stuff that's provocative or vulgar, you don't need Facebook. You don't need TikTok. You don't need Twitter, Instagram, because you may cause somebody to backslide. And here's what he says, and through thy knowledge shall the weak brother perish for whom Christ died. Remember, Christ died for them. But when ye sin, now he's calling it sin. When you do something that causes a brother to stumble, when you sin against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Christ. When you sin against me, you sin against Christ. When you sin against a sister, you sin against Christ. Why? Because Christ died for us. Now, we could spend the rest of next week in this one little verse right here. He's now saying when you cause a problem that could cause somebody to backslide, you have sinned. It's sin. Everybody say that together. It's sin. If I cause somebody to backslide, it's sin. If I cause somebody to stumble, it's sin. Remember, the idol's nothing, meat's nothing. Paul's saying, you've got knowledge, you've got liberty, but somebody weak may not. And it may cause them to stumble. And I've give all sorts of illustrations of different things that can cause people to stumble. Your language as a child of God. You may say something that is not, vulgar, but it may be suggestive in a way. And it may cause somebody else to stumble and say, what's the use serving the Lord when people don't even clean up their own language? Now, I'm not saying go out and curse and carry on and all that. I'm just saying there might be a conversation that you're having that may not be appropriate unless you're just with men, being with men talking, something that they need to discuss. There's a lot of things in the Bible that we discuss, and we don't discuss it in mixed company because it's kind of, well, that's another teaching session we'll get to. But when ye sin, everybody say, when I sin? That's right. You can sin against a brother. When ye sin so against the brethren and wound their weak conscience, ye sin against Christ. Here's what Paul closes out with, and this is what we want to close out with. Wherefore, if meat make my brother to offend, Paul said, I will eat no flesh while the world standeth. That's how sincere he felt about this situation. That's the liberty he had in the Lord to teach this to the people. If meat make my brother to offend, then I'm not going to eat any flesh as long as this world stands. I will not go and eat at the idol's temple. I will not sit at a bar and eat my dinner. Even though there's nothing wrong with that. That's the only seat in the house. But remember, Paul says, if you cause a weak brother to perish, you've sinned. And when you sin against a brother, you've sinned against Christ. Oh, this is powerful teaching. I know I got to stop. This is the end of the broadcast coming up on us, and the end of this teaching and this chapter. But he says, lest I make my brother to offend. If I cause my brother to be offended, if I cause my brother to fall into a lifestyle that now he's sinning because he don't understand, I wasn't drinking at the bar, I wasn't eating the idol's meat and worshiping an idol. If he don't understand that, and he gets offended, or he perishes, or he goes back out in the world, guess what? You have sinned. Now, I've said this many times. When people backslide, they backslide because they want to. But we can cause people problems. We can cause people to offend. We can cause people to perish. By actions, words, where we go, what we do. I remember, and I'll close with this, I remember one person telling me one time, they said, Pastor, I just don't know if I can keep coming to church or not. And I said, why? Well, I see this person in the church in the parking lot, and they're doing, and they named off this, and this. Hiding down beside the vehicle doing this, and this. And they said, I just can't keep coming. You know what? That saint's action of being one thing in the sanctuary and another thing out in the parking lot caused somebody to quit coming and serving the Lord. You know what that is classified, Paul said? That's right, sin. Sin. We have to be careful. As we come to a close today, I know and understand that there's a lot that we've discussed, and some things you may agree with, some things you may not. But one thing that we all have to agree with is that we've got to look out. We are our brother's keeper. We can't put stumbling blocks in each other's way. What you're doing right now may not be a sin. Where you go, the entertainment you have may not be sin. But if it causes someone who is weak to backslide or to perish, then it becomes sin. What wasn't sin becomes sin if it to forgive us of being so selfish for ourselves that we have even made statements or think it's just me. I'll do what I want to. Everybody just has to deal with it. But Lord, help us to change our attitudes. Help us to be considerate of each other. Help us to love so great that if something we're doing causes a brother or sister to be offended or perish, that we will not do those things. Just as Paul said, perish or puts a stumbling block in his way, help us to consider to one another. For it's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Well, I certainly hope that you have enjoyed the teaching session today. Again, we started 30 minutes later in the broadcast than what we normally do, and the reason being checking the messages. And if you're not getting our text messages, then get out your phone and text at CAC Daily to the number 81010. If you're getting our messages, you're on that list already. You don't have to do that again. You're on the list until you take yourself off. And so we'd like to let everyone know when we have a schedule change like we did this morning, or a cancellation, or something just comes up we can't get on the air, we'll let you know. And that's the only time you really get a text from us, is when something pertaining to this broadcast happens that we can't get on the air. Well, we hope you've enjoyed, and we want you to come on out and be with us. We would love to have you come and visit with us. We are in-person services in both campuses. Sundays at 10:30 a.m., worship service at 11, and Wednesdays at 7 at the Phelps campus. And then Pikeville Apostolic Church at the Pikeville campus, in-person services Sundays at 2 p.m. and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. online only, and you can find that on the Facebook of Pikeville Apostolic. And coming up, Easter Sunday, don't forget, April the 4th at 10:30 a.m., we are going to be combining our two campuses together at the Phelps campus. So that means Pikeville Apostolic is going to join Cornerstone Apostolic at the Phelps campus for our Easter Sunday service and festivities. We're looking forward to that. Don't forget KYC, April 16th and 17th, Lexington, Kentucky. And we certainly appreciate you joining us today. We hope that you will join us on Monday. Come on out and be with us Sundays. We'd love to see you at both campuses. Everybody have a great day, because we are out of here.